You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from SIBO. The Option Block is brought to you by SIBO. When it comes to trading volatility, trust SIBO, the creator of the VIX Index, for in-depth and relevant information. SIBO's tools and services gives you up-to-date trade insights, analysis, and positions of VIX options and futures. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/VIX today to learn more. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back live here on the network, back with everyone's favorite, usually bi-weekly, obviously only one episode this week for the President's Day holiday, but you're getting it here on Thursday. Yep, it is time for the old Option Block, what the cool kids call the old OB. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as, of course, from the ever-engaging Options Insider Radio Network. Had a great time this week over the holiday. Did some gator spotting over there on a swamp boat. that was fun. I've never done that before, but it was certainly intriguing. Of course, while I'm there riding around through the swamps, the market's falling out of bed, so a lot to get to there. Of course, reminding you, if you do like what you hear, do keep rating and reviewing out there on your platform of choice. Clearly does help new people continue to discover the content out there these days. And of course, if you need more in your lives, and hey, these markets are kind of iffy, you probably need a little guide and light, little helping hand out there, in which case theoptionsinsider.com/pro is there for you whenever you need said assistance. Of course, you got nearly 200 episodes worth of pro content waiting for you already. So you can go there and mainline nothing but pro content for days. Not even any bathroom breaks, not even stopping to eat, just nonstop pro content. And of course, more coming at you every week. theoptionsinsider.com/pro giveaways, live feeds, all sorts of fun stuff, exclusive shows, all sorts of goodness. And speaking of all sorts of goodness, this is our Thursday show. So this is usually the show where it's just a whole gaggle of folks chiming in here on the show, including the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tusaw, but they're having some power issues out there in the hinterlands of Chicago. You know, the remnants of this big storm that swept through yesterday. So I don't think we're going to be able to get good old Uncle Mike here on the show. No Flowmaster either. So we're down 50% here on the show. I got to put on my talking pants here for today. Luckily, I am joined from the dark and stormy shores of Maine by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com. Mr. G, welcome back to the show. How go things on the dark and stormy shores?
We had quite a snowstorm this morning, got about 6 to 8 inches, and we're expecting 6 to 8 inches more to this evening. So it's snowy and it's dark.
There you go. I didn't say it's dark and snowy, but we can apply it. Stormy implies some sort of precipitation. I'll leave it up to you which one you get. And this time you're getting snow. I heard something this morning, Mr. Rock Lobster, that there is a over 100 degree differential between across the country in terms of temperature. Somewhere in Texas right now is 98 degrees, and somewhere in Montana it's -4. So we have quite the swath of temperatures engulfing the country today, Mr. Rock Lobster.
It sounds like a winter, the typical winter, which is why some people like living in Texas, and some people will never go to Minnesota or Montana.
Indeed. But you know where we will always go on the show, listeners, right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the trading block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. And, you know, I go to a swamp for a few days and I leave the market in your hands and you guys break it while I'm gone because it had the worst day of the year so far. Just, I believe it was Tuesday, the big sell-off day out there. Not looking that great today. Obviously, nowhere near as dire as it was back earlier in the week. And we are rebounding off the lows a little bit right now, but for all of you out there who were paying attention to Uncle Mike's 4,100 level, could we maintain it? Could we break through it? We are well shy of that. We are well shy of 40.5, even well shy of 4,000 right now, listeners. 39.78 and change out there in the S&P, off about 13 handles, or about 1/3% out there. Have rebounded a few handles from the low right around 39.72. We'll see if that holds or if we continue moving back down or if this is a day where we end firmly in the green, 2%. Who knows? The intraday whipsaw is kind of the name of the game out there these days. Dow off a little over 0.5%. NASDAQ off about 0.4% right now. So a lot going on out there. Our vol friends, remember, we've been off for a week, listeners. So going all the way back to last Thursday. And our vol friends have done a little bit of living here over the span of the last week. VIX, once again, back in the 20 handle. So all of you, I believe you were fading hard on vol. I think you had an 18 handle out there, Mr. Rock Lobster. Again, a day, 24 hours is an eternity, but I was feeling more vol. We had north of a 22 today. We had a 22, almost 22.5. Not that long before showtime. Hanging out right around a 22, a little bit shy of that right now. So that's still up over 3, about 3.4 points out there on the old VIX. So you can get some upside again in VIX. It does happen, listeners. It is not irredeemably broken. Someone wrote in recently saying, is it even worth buying calls in VIX anymore? Well, we have had some action over the past week. I'll leave it up to you to decide if that's worth it or not. But still, VIX can go back up. VVIX also back up to about a 90, up about 2 points over the span of the last week. So VVIX looking frothy again, which again, you could argue maybe it should be higher given how much vol is whipping around these days. VXX, the formerly broken product, now, dare I say it in air quotes, back again. 12.20 when we kicked off the show, up almost a full point, about 1.9 points. Excuse me, about 0.9 points. It was up higher earlier in the session. It does seem like once we bounced off the lows of the day, the vol product started coming in. Yeah, we got up to about 12.1/3 in VXX. So they're close to their highs, but not quite where they were for the highs of the session. UVXY, same deal. 540, up about 0.5 point, was a little higher. I think up about 5.5 earlier in the session. But UVXY just kind of vacillating around this 5 handle almost endlessly. At this point, you got to kind of wonder, when are they going to do this reverse split? SVIX, this one was flirting with some all-time highs not too long ago. SVIX, of course, our inverse, our dear, dear inverse friend, hanging out at about a 16.5 when we kicked off the show, down over a point, about 1.3 points. So coming back in, retreating from those all-time highs somewhere in the, actually the 52-week high is a little bit over 1908. So well shy of that. And again, VIX is up. SVIX should be down, so doing what it's supposed to be doing. UVIX back to a 20 handle. So giving that old reverse split a college try again. About 2040 when we kicked off the show. Got up as high today of just a little bit north of 2102 to be precise. So getting back up to pretty much those reverse split levels. A net on the week is up about 2.5 points right now. So UVIX also can move up when it is so inclined. And rounding out our vol rundown here, we got vol Q 26.5, up exactly 4 points from where it was this time last week. So a lot more juice out there on the NASDAQ scene than there was this time last week. If you want a deeper dive into all things Vol Q, stay tuned for Vol Views tomorrow where we do just that. Should be a fun time. All right, Mr. Rock Lobster, a lot to unpack. You know, I go away for a couple of days, and you guys just break the market in my absence, Mr. Rock Lobster. What'd you do?
You know what happened? Bullard.
Oh, you love your Fed boys.
Well, I mean, the VIX was like, so the market's kind of like inching up last week. It was a little bouncy, but, you know, VIX trending down to 18. Like 18.25, 18.30 on Thursday, midday. And then Bullard just, you know, because the Fed governor has to say some stupid crap every time we hit 4,200, which I think now is going to be a law. So at 4,200 next time, SPX, I'm buying puts. Like, I'm like, okay, because they're going to come out and say some stupid crap and the algos are going to come in and sell it. So I think that is as close to a layup of a trade as there ever was one. So yeah, we were trading 18, and then you like, you know, well, we might have to raise more because inflation's not going fast enough. Like, it's not like they just crank up interest rates and then inflation just goes down when the federal government is still running massive spending programs. I don't even know what these guys are thinking. Didn't they ever read their Milton Friedman, for crying out loud? Like, the tap has been open for so long, and they're surprised that it's taken a while to come down. But I mean, nat gas is what, $3 a BTU now, instead of 15, or how expensive it was. Gas prices have come down from the peak. Groceries, I think, are like anything dairy is still pretty dang expensive. But I think, you know, house prices are starting to come in a little bit. Rents are coming in. So I think they're slowing down. But basically, when the Fed guy says something, that just sets the algos loose. You know, you're already trading at an 18 vol. So one thing everybody's got to remember, when VIX is already higher, it doesn't take much for the market to move, because the market's already anticipating like 1%, 1.5%, 1.25% per day, right? When VIX is trading, you know, 18, 19, 20, 20, like in those levels. So it's already pricing in some pretty good moves. So, you know, you have some, the Fed says, hey, whatever illusion anybody has is gone, which I agree. They're not going to lower rates in 2023. Okay. That's not going to happen. I don't know why people think they do. You're going to have to depend on companies like NVDA that make really good stuff, and the companies are well run. It will be kind of a stock picker's market again. At NVIDIA, amazing. The performance that they continue to deliver. But so as far as this goes, it's the same thing. So you have the market's down a little bit, vol's down a little bit today. And that's what kind of is. There's no more magic parabolic bullet on the upside. We've had them. We had them a few times this year, but we've never been able to do anything above 4,200 at all the whole year. And that's kind of, you know, and I think that's where we are. So until rates either start going down or inflation starts actually coming down to the Fed target, and Congress figures out a way to stop spending so much money. I mean, apparently everybody's listening to the Fed, but Congress. You got the new House Speaker in there. Are they talking about cutting the deficit? All they do is keep spending and sending more money around. So I wonder sometimes if politicians are actually in the same country that we're in. I like both parties. Like, what are you guys doing? So anyway, besides my soapbox there, from a vol point of view, the intraday vol for SPX has been very high. I calculated last week, early in the week and the week prior, we had a couple of like 100% vol range days, meaning like we're up 2%, down 2%, up 2%. So we had 6% range intraday total for SPX. And you know as well as I do, if you're trading and you're like, okay, down 80 or 90 handles in SPX. Oh, up 80 or 90 handles in it. Up, down. Like VIX is not going to 12 when that's happening. So I think that's been the intraday volatility, or I guess ATR, has been crazy high still. And it's because of this very reason. Like Fed governors say stuff. They say good stuff. They say bad stuff, whatever. And the market just, what it's hard to believe is that they can't have a consistent message. I know you've said that many, many times, but like, where's the consistent message on this? Hey, we have inflation. It's not as bad as it was, but it's not where we want it to be. And when the Fed guys say something, why don't they throw a little jab at Congress? Hey guys, why don't you stop spending so much money? Just try spending the money that you spent 5 years ago. Like, let's do something crazy. It's very, very disconcerting. Just watching the deficit rack up, through, I would say now, let's see, Biden, Trump, Obama, and Bush, 4 straight administrations just can't get their act together. And Congress is not helping anymore. So I think that is always I don't know if it's a canary in a coal mine, but it's I think the spending issue will be addressed. I don't think by Congress, but somehow they will be forced to by some sort of nasty comeuppance by the bond market somehow. And I think that is on the back burner of volatility. It is not on the front burner of it, but I think it is on the back burner somewhat for people trading. And for the first time, so we had another, like, from for looking at vol metrics. I remember you had the Jam Croissant guy on here, and he got me looking at the long-term vols, and he's very good, and we had such an elevated long-term vol, like what I would call like 100-day, 180-day, 360-day, because vols were elevated in the back and they were keeping vol higher. And we had a tremendous drop down to around 17.5 or 180-day vol in the SPX. Since then, it is back up to around 19.5 over the last actually over the month of February. By late Jan, it had gotten very, very low. I was like, wow, they're pricing the back month vol at a 7. So the market was literally, they were pricing, I believe, a soft landing overall. Like vol had come down, the bid for vol had come down huge. Generally, when that happens, one is the traders can let the bid fall because there isn't that constant buy pressure. And since then, it has come back to, I would say, beginning of the year, not quite, but very close to beginning of the year levels. So the narrative has shifted once again that you're probably not going to get that lower, that drop in interest rates that I think some people were thinking that we might get. And we're back to sort of, we're going to be at this elevated interest rate regime for a while. At least that's what it looks like the vol's saying. Now, if that vol starts coming in again, I will believe it. But at this point, we're trading right around 4,000 again. TUSA's new level was 4,100, and I thought that was pretty good based on rates going down. And I think just until there's a real change in the rate regime, meaning they're not raising anymore, unless there's a miracle, like there's, and I would say like the Ukraine war ends or something, or Congress passes a balanced budget for the next 10 years, okay, we have a balanced budget in 3 years. And I would say those would be sort of miracle Hail Mary passes. And if any of those things happen, yeah, I think the market could take off again, but you need something on that level to make it happen. Because at this point, I think there's too much overhang, and earnings and stocks. I mean, if you think about it, S&P 500 was down 25% last year, from what I would say was a very high level anyway. But S&P 500 earnings were down 35 or 38%. So it's, the market was pretty efficient as far as, hey, everything looked great and now it didn't, and they sold it. So it would not, until that, earnings growth starts happening again. I think this 4,200 is going to be kind of a hard deck. It makes iron condors, I think, interesting trades now, because for the first time in a while, you're not getting that blow off top. And then unless, of course, you get a miracle. The miracle from Congress isn't going to come anytime soon. And it also looks like from the Ukraine is not going to come anytime soon either. I mean, they just seem to be, I don't even know what they're doing in this war anymore, to be quite honest, because there's no news. Like, what are they doing? Are they fighting over this? Like, I don't know. Like, there's all of a sudden it's not on the front page anymore. The only thing that's on the front page is, our trains are derailing and, they're shooting down spy balloons and all kinds of just weird stuff. But like, the big stuff is still out there, but you don't hear much about it anymore. So I think we do have a ranging market. And I'd say, the range is probably 3,900 to 4,100. And it could be for this year, until something changes. And, any sell off below there, or probably buy, chop above there, you definitely, I think you buy the low side and you sell the high side again. And that's it until the interest rate picture drops. But what you will get is then, like, you'll get more sort of chop and orbiting market, like up, down, up, down, up, down. So like VIX can stay where it could have those lows only around an 18 or maybe 17, and maybe only highs of 22, 23, because you're not getting a breakout one way or the other. And, volatility lives on a breakout, either up or down. And that's what we have. So it's kind of, like, I would say iron condors are a bad thing in 2021, but I think in 2023, they could work pretty well, because you're going to have a higher orbiting vol and you're not really going anywhere. So anyway, it's a subject I'll broach with my students at 2:00. And I think that's kind of what you have from it. It makes that trade type more interesting. That's kind of my diatribe on where the vol is. Can we get to an 18? We were pre-18, pre-Bullard. We could be there next week, but I don't think we're going to be there for my vol prognostication this week. We were looking at it. We saw it, and then of course with a crystal ball, all the glory, everything just leaves, and your chance at glory goes away quickly.
You gave it a brief kiss.
You might do well this time, Mr. Longo.
A brief kiss. I'm looking pretty good so far this year. I have like one, and I guess if you expand it a little bit, 1.5 bullseyes already to start the year. And we'll see. We'll see if I get one tomorrow. But intriguing stuff. Yeah, you kissed it, and then the Fed conspired against you once again. You know my thoughts on that. I am on the record. Fed should speak with one voice. It's not like the Fed governors don't have a chance to make their opinions known. They clearly do. It's called the Fed Minutes. It's all there. If you want to see what other Fed governors think, you can read it. They're on record. It's just a question of now when they have to do, the grandstanding. You may argue maybe they're politicking a little bit for the next administration to pick them as the Fed chairman. A lot of other things go into these Fed statements beyond just the economic issues. But I digress. We're not here to debate the Fed. We shall keep on rolling out there. I was kind of dubious about that rally for a bit anyway. So something had to come along, I think, and chop the legs out, whether it was another rogue Fed governor or someone else. I think something was going to come along and unearth or upset the wheel cart there. And it seems like that's what it is out there right now. Let's see what's going on out there from an overall markets and volume perspective. And VIX has been in a higher volume regime since we did the whole Fed dance a few weeks ago, closing in on 700,000 contracts from an ADV perspective. Not quite there from a today's volume perspective, only about half of that, 354,000 contracts on the tape, but still closing in on 700K from an ADV. That's nothing to sneeze at, considering we were right around 500,000 not too long ago. So that's a heck of a lot of additional daily paper flocking into VIX land. You want the full breakdown, listeners. Again, vol views tomorrow will be diving deep into all that fun. SPY, 5.4 million contracts right now. The ADV, 9.1 million. The S, 1.6 million contracts. The ADV, 2.6 million. Small caps through the lens of IWM, 530,000 contracts. The ADV, 808. So nothing quite at their ADV right now, but all of them looking pretty robust, pretty solid. The Qs, 1.73 million contracts. The ADV, about exactly 3 million out there. So an active, solid day out there across the major indices. Let's see if we can say the same for our friends in single name land. Cost you 230,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. That gets us to our old friend Softy, hanging out right around 250, almost 251, actually selling off today. Hasn't sold off in a while. Selling off today, off about 0.75%. Actually just ticked. Now it's back up north of 251. I think my quotes are a little slow here today. Either way, though, it is off. It hit a high of 256, almost 257 today. So coming off those highs, of course, 52-week high, almost 316. So still a ways below that. 52-week low, 213. So we're hanging out kind of in the midpoint between the 52-week high and 52-week low. We have a question along those lines right now for Apple. We'll get to those results in a little bit later here, listeners. Number 9, our old friend Alphabet. I was joking not too long ago. You know, it's a quiet day, a sleepy day in the markets when Alphabet is in our top 10, but we've been seeing them now for some time. This whole AI war kind of kicking them into another gear. Google, a.k.a. Alphabet, 280,000 contracts right now, hanging out almost exactly $90, off about $1.50 today. Number 8, we're going out to China, listeners. It's BABA, 320,000 contracts. Are they going to send weapons to the Russians? Are they not? What's going on with the Chinese economy? All sorts of questions going on over there these days. And Alibaba, one of the leading names in that Chinese basket out there, trading a little bit shy of 93, 92.84 right now, off nearly $2 on the day. 52-week high for BABA, 125, almost 126. 52-week low, 58. So also kind of hanging out right in the midpoint of those two there. So kind of interesting stuff there. Number 7, the artist formerly known as the Widowmaker, hasn't made some widows in a while. You got to go back really almost a year to last April or so when it had that really just game-changingly terrible quarter. That's the last time Netflix really wiped a lot of people off the map. Selling off a bit today, though, off 15 handles, nearly 5%, about 4.5%, trading a little bit shy of 320 out there right now. Good also, ironically, for 323,000 contracts in the number 7 spot. So intriguing stuff. 52-week high, 397 for Netflix. 52-week low, 162. So this one a wee bit closer to the 52-week high than 52-week low than some of the other names we just talked about. Number 6, Chip Zone. Come in pretty much right where we expected this time. Usually, I haven't seen AMD in the top 10 for a while, but they are back in there today, listeners, trading right around 78.25, up about 1 2/3, nearly 2% on the day. Good for 345,000. Of course, today, a big chip day. We have NVIDIA earnings. We also have a lot of the details coming out about this chip plan from the government, what they're going to spend, the somewhere around $50 billion, I think it was, to foster these chip clusters here in the U.S. So we're hearing more of the details about how that money will be spent over the next few days. So all that sounds like it's shining a nice light here on the Chip Zone AMD, reflecting that up about 1 2/3 points and putting up 345,000 contracts on the day. Number 5, the Amazonians are back, but below their number 3 spot where they usually hang out. Today, number 5, 387,000 contracts, off about $1.10 or so, trading right around 94 2/3 today. Their 52-week high, 170, almost 171. 52-week low, 81 and about a half. So obviously much closer to the latter than the former there. And again, good for 387,000 contracts. Number 4, is it a movie theater chain? Is it a gold miner? Is it just the king of the memes? Who knows? But it's hanging out number 4 today. It's AMC, 440,000 contracts. It's unched right now, which is a rarity in AMC land, hanging out at 6 1/4 out here. So they've had as you expect, a topsy-turvy month. Beginning of the month, they were trading nearly $7, and they sold it off to 4.5. That was back on Valentine's Day, and since then it has rallied about $1.70 again, up to 6 1/4 right now. So just a rock'em sock'em month here for AMC. Good for 440,000 contracts. Number 3, yes, I said number 3. It's the fruit company, 507,000 contracts. That's pretty meager paper for Apple. Hanging out 147 and about 2/3 right now. So another name that's kind of hovering in the middle of its 52-week range. 52-week high, 179.61, 52-week low, 124.17. We have a question of the week that's live right now, listeners. A fun question of the week for this truncated holiday week here. Quite simply, which of those will it hit next? A 52-week low or 52-week high? We will get to your results a little bit later here in the show. Number 2, I mentioned how it's a hot day for the chips. Well, this one blowing out of the chip zone all the way up to number 2 today. This is NVIDIA. About 1.5 million contracts on the tape for NVIDIA. NVIDIA up 26 2/3 handles, or 12, almost 13%, trading right around 234 and a quarter right now. I mentioned it's kind of a double whammy great day for NVIDIA. They obviously blew the doors off with their earnings today as well. Now, here's one headline, squeaks by expectations, but clearly the stock's looking well. Also, NVIDIA throwing their hat in this new AI war. So we know there's a lot of fluff, a lot of vol around AI right now. Obviously, a lot of that contributing to this massive pop. Not like NVIDIA hasn't been popping lately. This is just yet another leg in the pop. But it was trading 206 just a couple of sessions ago, and now 234 and about a quarter. So that's nice. 52-week low, 108. That was back in October of last year. So obviously a long way from that. More than 2x. 52-week high, 289.5. Might be a good one to ask that same question about this one. Which will it hit first? NVIDIA clearly indicating 1 right now. We shall see how that hangs out. And number 1, something managing to keep NVIDIA at bay today. You know what it is. It's Tesla, 1.63 million. I believe they had some announcement today as well. They're not day that ends in Y. They're going to have some announcements. They're back in California, apparently, after talking all that smack about how terrible California was and trying to get the hell out of California. Now they're back making announcements with the governor of California. They're going to build something out there. So Tesla making headlines today, but also selling off about $2, trading right around 199 right now. This one, not as close to its 52-week high as to its low. 52-week low, it just set a few weeks ago. We all know that one, right around 101. You all saw the headlines. Is Tesla doomed? What's going on with Tesla? Now here they are trading almost $200. 52-week high, 384 and a quarter. In terms of earnings, listeners, we still got some names popping off this week, so strap in. It's going to be a fun one. Tuesday, we had Walmart, Home Depot, Medtronic, and Coinbase. Hot one out there. Wednesday, what's going on in wings? Is there some wing volatility? Well, we found out with Wingstop, as well as, of course, NVIDIA, Etsy, and Bumble. NVIDIA, of course, stock-wise blowing the doors. Now, people had mixed views on the earnings, but apparently the market's liking what they said, so they're off to the races. Today, of course, you have Alibaba, Moderna, Domino's Pizza. I just had those last night for the first time in ages. But Domino's, let's see what's kind of pizza balls going on out there. Planet Fitness, Yeti, Booking Holdings, Warner Brothers. Oh, the meatballs. So I should say the Rock Lobster's favorite name out there. Beyond Meat, Intuit, and Dish Network. And tomorrow we got Cinemark. Is there still Cinemark? Are they still around? I haven't seen a Cinemark in forever. But I guess we'll find out more details on Friday. In terms of names popping off, let's just do a couple here. We have some updated earnings move results for you. Hot off the presses from our friends over there at ORAS listeners. Yesterday, after the bell, NVIDIA, 207.5 is where they were trading. Obviously, 238 and a third is when we ran these numbers earlier this morning. So they're pricing in about 7%. They delivered nearly 15%. So pretty much 2x, a banger out there, listeners. And then let's see, what else do we have popping off here in this earnings move results? We've got Papa John's, more pizza ball, popping off before the bell today, 92 and a third. They're pricing in 5.8%. They delivered 7.2%. So outperforming from a vol perspective, underperforming from a stock perspective. eBay, yesterday after the bell, 47.85 is where they were when they popped off. They were pricing in about 6%. They delivered about 6%. So nothing really to speak of there. Moderna, today before the bell, 158.20 is where they were trading. They're pricing in 6.9%. They delivered 6.7%. So I'm seeing a lot of exactly in line names so far. We've got Bumble. They were yesterday after the bell as well, 23 and a third. They were pricing in nearly 13%. They delivered 9%, listeners. So a little bit of underperformance there in the ladies love category. Let's see how they're looking right now. 6.25%. So they have given up a lot of that. So they pretty much cut their straddle in half in terms of what they actually delivered. So interesting stuff out there. Let's go to Dish Networks today before the bell. 13.08 was where they were trading. They're pricing in 10.8%. They delivered 6.1, so a little bit of underperformance there as well. Baba, same deal, 94 and 3/4 today before the bell. They're pricing in 5.4%. They delivered 2.3%, so underperforming out there. Let's wrap it up here with the Etsy. A lot of names obviously popping off in the last 24 hours, listeners. Etsy yesterday after the bell, 128.5 is where they were trading. They're pricing in 10.1%. Get this, listeners. They delivered 1.7%. Wow. Underperformance there. So a lot of people just kissing their straddle or dramatically underperforming today. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. We've got some other ones popping off. If you listen to Brian's OPR recently, he did a trade around booking.com. This one doing their best, Warren Buffett. They're popping off after the bell today. Their stock price, $2,426.71. So apparently the folks over there at Booking don't like a good split. They were pricing in $110. In the past, they've moved 65.5. So, wow, they must have heard Brian's show there because that's a heck of a lot of extra juice. Intuit today after the bell, 406 and about a fourth. They were pricing in $20 exactly. In the past, they moved 14 and a third. So a lot of extra juice for Intuit. Let's go to Square as well today after the bell. $73 is where they were trading. They priced in $7. In the past, they moved a little bit shy of 5.5. So fair amount of extra juice in Intuit as well. Let's go to this one as well. One more, I lied, because Warner Brothers Discovery has come up on our scans a lot lately. Let's go to Warner Brothers there today after the bell. 15 and about a half. So they have rallied nicely. They were trading $9 not too long ago. They were pricing in $1.35. In the past, they moved 72 cents. So pretty much a two-banger there for Warner Bros., at least what they're pricing in. Will they deliver? I suppose we shall find out, listeners. Let's see. There's legions more coming up here, listeners. Pops, Funko Pops. You want to see what they got for Pop Vol first after the bell. They're trading at $11. They're pricing in $1.40. In the past, they've moved $2. So less vol on the Pops front. That's kind of interesting. We could do this for the whole show. Listen, if you guys check it out for yourselves, theoptionsinsider.com, click on the options news and articles tab to begin your voyage to the dark side. The season right now hanging out at 112. Remember I said I was going to come in a little bit, and it has, down from the ridiculous 150 that it was not too long ago. 112, though, still nothing to sneeze at because our long-term average is about 92%. In terms of trades being exited today, we're getting out of a trade in VIPS, good old VIPS. We closed a long straddle there, closed a long calendar in CPE and NTES, and picked up a new straddle, I should say, in KTOS. So whole bunch of new earnings trades being entered and exited today. If you want the updated reports, you know where to go. Theoptionsinsider.com as we keep on rolling right on into the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's do it. Let's unleash the beast, otherwise known as the Eye of Sauron. See what it fixes its fiery gaze on today. Mr. Rock Lobster, we're going to kick things off going back to a name that we talked about on the show a week ago. This is the name you're pretty familiar with. We talked about it a few times recently. I think you even found it once in your Eye of the Cyclops on our Options Oddity show recently. This is Conagra Brands, ticker symbol CAG, C-A-G, trading 36 and a quarter right now. Remember that level, listeners. We'll come back to it. On the year, it was trading about 35 and three quarters a year ago, so not a heck of a lot net on the year. Right after that, it hit its low for the year in March of $30.06. So it's really only had about a $6 range. Actually, take it back. It did rally a little bit more back in January. Got up to $41. You're talking an $11 range on the year. And then right back down to where it is right now. Almost net unched on the year, about 1%. So not much going on net on the year. What did we find last week on the show, Mr. Rock Lobster? Someone coming out and scooping some very near-dated puts. They were buying the Feb 35 puts expiring tomorrow. They bought 5,126 of these bad boys. They paid a quarter for them. The stock was $35.69. So, interesting enough, there was no earnings this week either. There was just their next earnings announcement is on the 6th. So this was not an earnings play. This was someone just looking for some bad news in Conagra over the coming week. And I have bad news for them, Mr. Rock Lobster. They did not get it. The stock now 36 and a quarter. These puts are still open. At least they were before the show started here. So no joy here, Mr. Rock Lobster, in terms of closing these bad boys out. So as of right now, they've dropped right around $125,000 on this trade, listeners. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what say you? A weekly swing for the fences, and it looks like they whiffed on this one.
Well, do you remember, like a couple of weeks ago, somebody went big trying to buy some out of the money calls?
Yes.
And both of these right now have kind of turned out to just be, I guess, if we're being kind, it would be Palookaville. So, yeah, they're just, let's say tomorrow's the 20th. I mean, there's a shot, but right now they're at a dime. So there's no bid at a dime. So it looks like, maybe they traded the stock. I don't know, around the options, but, and that's certainly a technique you could do, which is kind of fun. You buy the puts and then you sort of wait till the stock moves a little bit and then you buy some stock into the delta. And, you certainly can do that, right? But I just, I don't know if they did it in these, but all I know is that as of right now, they are long these puts and wrong is all I can say on it.
Long and wrong. Again, they could have some move before the close tomorrow that could make up for it, but it doesn't seem like right now they're going to be sitting on any cash from these puts. Let's keep on rolling. An area that we've been talking about a lot on our TWIFO program, listeners, is natural gas and the mad year it's had ever since Russia kicked off their invasion, almost exactly a year ago. Tomorrow, the 1-year anniversary. So crazy how time flies. One of the names that's been caught up in all that madness is Cheniere Energy, ticker symbol LNG, because they are a big natural gas company, listeners. In fact, they were the first company to export LNG way back in 2016. So they're on the vanguard of all things LNG. Trading 161 and about a third right now. A year ago, it was trading 118. So obviously got a nice pop from all the madness in Ukraine. But they were still trading right around 122 all the way in July of last year. And if you know anything about natural gas took off well before that. So they were hanging out for the better part of the first half of last year, not that far from where they opened the year, which is kind of, we saw that in a couple of other nat gas names as well. I think Tellurian is another one we talked about in oddities a few times. Like, when are they going to get the pop to go along with it? So a little bit of a lagging indicator, these LNG companies. Then they got their pop finally, and it came in August of last year. They rallied up to about 171, and they sold off again in September. They got down to 148 again, so it was short-lived. And they rallied again in November to their high for the year of about 182 and a third. So they had a nice run net from about 120 up to 182 and a third. Now they've given some of that back again. They were down to 143 just a couple of sessions ago. So they've had a nice pop this week. They're up 11.5 handle, 7.65%. So it looks like they reported their numbers, and that's where a lot of this pop is coming from here. Given what's been going on in the nat gas market, this chart doesn't correlate that well to it, which obviously other things going on out here, but this is intriguing. A lot of people, when they try to play these names as a proxy for nat gas, doesn't always work out the way they want. And this one was a bit of a weird one out here. Let's superimpose the chart of nat gas on this one day, and we'll see how it lines up. Spoiler alert, not well. But let's go on out here to what they traded this morning. Maybe it'll shine some more light on what's going on out there. Mr. Rock Lobster, you have someone coming in, and this looks like they're probably, or maybe sold these bad boys. They 5,004 of the March 135 puts. So I said we're at 161 and about a half right now, listeners. They came in, they traded 5,004 of these this morning for 40 cents. Market pretty wide, 35 at 65. But again, it is LNG, not a very liquid name, pun intended, out there. It's about a 43 vol. This was opening right after the earnings, and the stock was lower. The stock was 158 and about a half when these bad boys went up. So nice pop for the stock so far. So I'm going to say, Mr. Rock Lobster, that they sold these and that they're smiling right now. Again, they got 40 cents for these. 135, not a terrible level at all. I mean, it was trading not that far away from it just a few sessions ago. Got down to 144 and change. So they could easily hit that again. It's not a super aggressive line in the sand. They're 25, 26 handles away from where it's trading right now. So intriguing stuff. What do you make of these puts and perhaps also the somewhat, shall we say, interesting performance of Cheniere Energy this year?
It does feel very line in the sandish, doesn't it? Does it have that whiff to you?
It does indeed, sir.
So I would say it is line in the sand put, and I mean, the stock is kind of a monster of a mover. It's up, what, $14 today? So I think that move up is giving somebody some pretty serious confidence right now. So I mean, I don't think it's a terrible play. But as I look at it, it's like, okay, like the March ordinary 135 puts it. I would say it would be kind of a long bridge to get there. So I don't think it's a bad line in the sand play, but it's given this kind of market, I think it's a little it's pretty aggressive.
Interesting. We shall see how these perform. Would you buy some LNG at around 135, listeners? Interesting level. Well, let's close it out here with Sanofi SA, ticker symbol SNY. This is a French pharma and healthcare company trading $48 even today. On the year, let's see, a year ago, it was trading 52.5. Its high came in April of about $58, and the low came in September of about 37. And right now we're hanging out at 48. So again, kind of almost midway between that low and high out there. So interesting how a lot of these names are just kind of dangling at the precipice right now. Which way shall they go? Well, it seems like, Mr. Rock Lobster, someone voting for some upside with their dollars here in Sanofi SA, someone coming in and scooping 2,000 of the April 48 calls. So these are at the money calls right now. They paid $1.88 for these, so they're not playing. This is only a 25 vol. You might have been forgiven for assuming that was a higher vol level, but no, only a 25 vol. The stock when these went up was 47.83, so they've had a little bit of a move in the stock. There are earnings, but not before these options expire. The earnings are on April 27th. That's interesting. You think if they were concerned about earnings, they maybe would have gone all the way out to May, or maybe, but pretty much May would have been your only option. I don't think there are weeklies in this name. So intriguing stuff here. So they're getting themselves a few months here, Mr. Rock Lobster, and they're paying for it, but they're not getting the announcement itself. So that's kind of interesting. What do you think on somebody swinging for the upside fences here in your new favorite French multinational pharma and healthcare name, Sanofi SA?
What's funny is when was the last time there was a European ADR added to the USA? Just, when was the last time?
It seems like we are awash in Chinese and Brazilian ones, not as many Europeans these days.
Yeah. I find it, anyway, you just have these big companies and then that's kind of all they got. It's like, I don't know. It's, unless it was 100 years old, it's, I would have to say right now, probably one of my least favorite things is buying an equity in some big European multinational. I can't think of a more uninteresting purchase. Hey, it could work, and maybe everybody's looking for some love, and but I guess maybe they're looking for some love going into the cycle. I mean, I think this one pays a pretty big dividend too. Yeah, they pay about $1.70 a year. So, I can see how somebody thinks that big healthcare company is going to make some money and it's going to be all good. But the range, the stock hasn't been above 50 in. The recent high is 50, and it spent a little time in the mid 50s and early 22, and it hasn't seen anything close to that. So, I think again they would need something substantial to happen that was very good. Is all I can say there. Substantial and to happen to make that pay. I don't think it's a terrible purchase, but really to make those calls pay, you need the stock to go to 50. And after earnings and the way the market's performing, it looks like you would need pretty much near a miracle to make that work.
You would need certainly something. We'll see if they get it here, listeners, as we keep on rolling. See what we get from you folks. A little bit of the old mail call.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the Mail Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Mail Block. I teased earlier in the show, we have a fun question of the week right now. Shortened holiday week, thought we'd put a fun one out. We've been teasing this one for a while. We said, hey, let's have some fun on the shortened holiday trading week. Apple is in many of your portfolios, had a strong rally from its 52-week low of 124.17, but it's still got a way to go to get back to its 52-week high of 179.61. Quite simply, which one will it hit first? So an intriguing one. Mr. Rock Lobster, which way are you going? And then which way are our crazies going?
Holy gosh. All right, I'm going to say, that's a tough one, I have to say. I'm going to say, I say it will touch the low before it touches the high this year. So I'm going to go low first, but I think our listeners will say the high.
Interesting. Our listeners are just as dire and pessimistic as you, sir. Right now, almost 76% saying the 52-week low will be kissed first, followed by about 24% saying 52-week high. So intriguing stuff out there, listeners. You got a few days left. If you're listening on the old podcast side, at Options is the place to go to find this. If it's not pinned, it should be floating around there. We try to retweet it for you throughout the week. So everyone gets a chance to play as we keep on rolling right on into Around the Block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on till our next episode. In this case, it's on Monday. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what is lighting up your tape? What's on your radar until our next episode on Monday, sir?
Well, I mean, you look at this and you're like, where do we go? What are the earnings? Where's the catalyst? So I'm kind of stretching for a catalyst here on where the market can go, to be quite honest with you. I would like to see how the earnings go, but right now, for the most part, earnings have been, substantially down from last year at this time. And let's see something random, like how do they clean up the spill, or is there any good geopolitical news? I think we're in kind of a little dry period now for news. So, and my biggest thing is, how is vol going to react to it? Are we going to get a real vol reaction? And do they sell it off? And I think that's what I'm looking for. It's a more dry time, but that's what I'm looking for.
All right, everybody, that music means we are done, at least with the old OB. But if you need more in your lives, don't worry. If you're listening live, just hang out there in the live stream. We'll be back in a little bit with none other than Dan the Man Gramza to break down all the madness out there in the world of futures options. Speaking of madness, it's like the markets have rallied a bit since we started the show, listeners. We are closing in now. Looks like on unched for the day, off about 0.07% of the S&P right now, hanging out around 39.88, close to 39.90. Will we get back to unched? Will we go green on the day? Will it be another one of those days? We shall see. Or will we end the day horribly down again? Only time will tell. Mr. Rock Lobster, if folks want to reach out to you to discuss all this crazy intraday vol we're seeing these days, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, go to optionpit.com, ask for Ted, and all of our products that help you trade and navigate these perilous markets. So if you're looking for a way to trade short-term options or long-term, more investing style option trades, come on over to OptionPit, check out our products, and learn to differentiate between the two. As short-term trade is a little different than long-term.
And if you want to keep the vol party going, where do you go? But none other than the mothership of vol itself, Cboe.com/VIX is the place to go to check out all the content, all the data they got cooking there. You can also find Henry's trade alert services, everything else they got cooking over there. Cboe.com/VIX. That's going to do it for us. Back in a little bit. For TWIFO, all you listening on demand will get that on the feed afterwards later on today. Back again tomorrow. Speaking of vol and all things VIX, going to be talking vol views tomorrow, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern with Kevin Davitt from NASDAQ, as well as some special guests, so look forward to that. Followed after that, for all you pro folks, a little bit of the old options oddities, then back again on Monday, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there.
The Option Block is brought to you by SIBO. When it comes to trading volatility, trust SIBO, the creator of the VIX Index, for in-depth and relevant information. SIBO's tools and services gives you up-to-date trade insights, analysis, and positions of VIX options and futures. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/VIX today to learn more. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.